Music is dead. Honestly, it's been dead for a while now. Back before I was even alive, we had things like this. And this. It looked like it would only go up from there, as music started evolving into something we'd never encountered before. But in the end, we are now getting used to music like this.
Please, 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 don't prove I'm right.
And ironically, this.
Now the thing that they're serving, you can't serve it on a fork. Or rather it was bailiffs that was banging at your door.
Which leaves us with two questions. What happened to music? And perhaps the most important question, who is going to change music? On April 17th, we got the answer.
You're probably wondering, what is Fizz?
Fizz, to put it simply, is a musical genre all about combining two things: high-quality production and dense, thoughtful composition. It's like throwing the most insane sound design, the wildest harmony, and the catchiest melodies. All into a huge blender. Unlike genres like jazztronica and chill hop, Fizz makes sure that both its parent genres add to each other, take nothing important away, and take the unimportant stuff out.
But I'm not done yet!
As much as Fizz has in common with jazz in terms of harmony, it also differs. Foundational jazz harmony contains things like 2-5-1s, tritone substitutions, voice leading, and extensions. Now, Fizz harmony doesn't just have these, it takes them to an entirely different level. For example, milking Jacob Collier's Super Lydian concept, where it doesn't stop at the root and you end up with a sharp 15 in a chord. Playing the minor third and the major third of the root at the same time. Which, I mean, let's be honest here, that's almost impossible to get away with. But there is a reason I'm bringing all of this up. I'm not here to break down every single note in every single Fizz song. I'm here to help you become the greatest Fizz shredder ever. In this video, I'm gonna go over how to play the wildest, craziest licks you can over any Fizz song you want. I'll be diving into various different concepts, which will be some of the most important skills you'll need if you want to be the best. Well, alright, let's get into it. Have you ever heard a jazz teacher say something like, "Yo man, I'm tired of these youngins, man, trying to play fast. It's not about how fast you play. Don't worry about technique, worry about feel." These people are just, they're just wrong, and it's very simple. Arguing that technique doesn't matter nearly as much as expression completely ignores the fact that you can't express what you can't play. If you have an idea in your head and you can't execute it properly, that idea is just stuck there and the listener is left with pretty much nothing. Not to mention that you will be able to develop certain ideas the more you develop your technique. The mindset you should be having is that they're both equally important, and if you lack either one of the two, you should probably work on that. I don't know what to tell you. Now that I've explained why having dexterity is important, how do you actually obtain it? To be honest, there's no shortcut or super fast way to do it. But this method will slowly but surely give you the results you're looking for. Whatever you're practicing, you should be doing it with a metronome. starting slow and increasing the speed in small increments each time you do it 3 times in a row with no mistakes. Make sure to get both hands, because fizz music will torture your left hand. You should be practicing scales, arpeggios, and definitely solos and different parts of songs that you like. Well, the fizz songs that you like, which is also super beneficial for ear training, internalizing certain lines and melodies, and overall musicianship. But the metronome is by far the most important. If it's sloppy at 70 beats per minute, it'll be chaos at 140. Just fix your mechanics first, and then ramp the speed up. Your posture is perhaps the most important part of obtaining practically effortless and painless speed at the piano. Don't play like this. Don't sit too close to the keyboard where your elbows are in line with your side, but not too far where you're almost fully extending your arm. Make sure you're as relaxed as possible. Onto the hands. Wrist position is crucial for injury prevention, especially when trying to play really fast. Relax your wrist as much as possible, because tensing it up will only hurt you in the long run. When it comes to your fingers, do not lift any of your fingers each time you press a key like this. And do not press a key too hard. Remember, a piano can only get so loud, and it's not about how hard you strike the key, but how fast. Here's a slow strike, and here's a fast strike. And I'm relaxing my wrists and my fingers in both cases. I'll play a descending 2-octave C major scale with improper and proper technique to show you the difference. The proper technique gets you a long way and allows you to play fast and clear even when you get up there in age. Now, here's a shredding example over Mario Kart Remix using what we've learned.
You got to stop doing that. You got to stop doing that.
Okay, so I'm playing really fast, but as you might have already guessed, it sounds terrible. While dexterity is a necessary skill for shredding, that's just the first skill you'll need. Alright, on to the second one. I can't stress how important it is to know what key you're in and what chord you're on. This sounds really obvious, but there are many people out there that get lost anytime there's more than one chord in a bar. It goes into even more detail than that description. We're talking about knowing where the chords are, where the root is, and what tensions you're creating when you solo. Does this mean that you have to know every note in every chord? Well, yes, of course you do. This isn't a blues where you can lean on pentatonic scales and outside chromatic enclosures. This is fizz we're talking about here. Fizz harmony is not forgiving and does not care whether you're caught up or not. So if you don't know what's underneath you, all you'll be doing is guessing. And with this kind of music, guessing sounds like garbage. So how do you get good chord awareness? Start by trying to hear every single note in the chord. Remember, this isn't jazz harmony. There is a big difference between a major 7 chord and a major 9 chord. Each note in fizz harmony is unique and says something different, and missing one note or adding an extra one can completely change everything. This will take practice and a lot of time, but eventually your hands and your brain will fully understand what's going on in the chords, should you do this carefully and correctly. Bass lines have an insane amount of power that is widely overlooked. The up and down motion of a bass line, or even one note, can change the trajectory of a chord and what you play over it. You can't just take the first note of the bass line and assume that that's the root for the entire chord. Otherwise, you just miss the whole point. Once you add this in with the chords, you've got your foundation set.
So let me be clear.
I'm not saying this because I'm a Fizz Shredder.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The reason why you should do this is because you can actually establish some ground rules for yourself in the future. Listen to a Fizz solo and question everything. What rhythms and notes are they emphasizing? What rhythms and notes are they avoiding? This will build your sense of what works and what doesn't. Even something you think wouldn't work could work, because that is what Fizz is all about. Once you implement these 3 strategies, you'll have the ability to know where you are, and your shredding will lock in with the chord movements intentionally. Here's me shredding over Mr. Krabs remix using this skill. Okay, so I think it's fair to say we've taken a step in the right direction, but I'm playing scales the whole time. Let's fix that. Okay, let's talk about shapes. Because like I said before, just running up and down scales will not get you far at all. Will you use them a lot? Yes. But combining them with different shapes will take you to the next level. So how do you build up your own arsenal of shapes? Stealing is completely okay. Grab your shapes from wherever you can. Chords, bass lines, solos, melodies, every shape that you like, or even don't have a problem with. If a certain voicing appeals to you, rip it out and make it a shape. If you find a melody really catchy, rip it out and make it a shape. Here's an example. I took the Fizz motif, reversed it, and then used it in this shredding video. Fizz is full of shapes, so collect as many as you can and then make them your own. Once you've got stuff to steal, start mutating it. There are pretty much endless things you can do with shapes. Take a minor 7th arpeggio, for example. Reverse it. Change one note. Change another note. Change another note. Repeat it a certain interval up or down. And boom, you have a shape. See what works and what doesn't, and adjust accordingly. When it comes to using shapes in Fizz music, the world is basically your oyster. Now we'll shred again using all the skills we've covered. Okay, we've definitely made progress compared to what we started with, but it still sounds a little directionless, which is why we need one more skill to fix that. Intention is what truly separates a regular musician from a Fizz musician, but I'm not going to talk about it in the way that people like this jazz teacher like to talk about it. Less is more, man. The space between the notes say way more than the notes themselves. Okay, let's get one thing straight. Intention doesn't mean playing slow or minimalist or tasteful, according to people who just can't handle 16th notes. Speed and intention are not mutually exclusive, but it does mean that everything you play, no matter how fast or dense, has a reason to exist. Fizz doesn't punish speed, it punishes mindlessness. If your lines sound like you're just unloading your fingers onto the keys, people will be able to hear that. If you want to repeat something to make it more effective, do it. If you want to use something sparingly to make it more effective, do it. But just know what you're doing. The up and down motion of your notes should make sense. The rhythms and notes you play should have a storyline. They should contribute something to everything around it. And if you even take one of them out and don't feel like anything has been lost, it didn't belong there in the first place. I'll give you an example of extremely fast and calculated shredding. Meet Ray Thistlethwaite. one of Lewis Cole's keyboardists. He also happens to be the greatest shredder of all time. Just take a look at this moment from his solo on this song. Right, I think we can all agree that this is already impressive on its own, because this song is at 180 BPM, and he's mostly playing 16th notes. But to dive a bit deeper, I think that this C sharp right here is the most important note in this whole entire line.
What do you mean by that?
So he starts in major land on the 3 chord, and then we switch to a 4 chord where he seamlessly goes into minor land. And then he just drops a bomb of Dorian flat 2, the second mode of melodic minor, and the C sharp just pops out more than any other note in the scale. So why do I bring this up? Here's my theory. I think that when it comes to melodic minor, every mode derived from that scale has its own most important note. But I'm not talking about the defining note. In this case, the defining note of Dorian flat 2, or the note that separates it from Dorian, is, well, you guessed it, it's the flat 2. Ray uses this mode over an E chord, so the flat 2 would be an F. But in this line, it's actually the 6 or the C sharp that has a different kind of uniqueness and a different kind of power that Ray knew exactly how to bring out. It's like he knew that entire line was going to lead up to something, and he knew that note was going to be what completes it. Now, on top of that, it's not only what note he chooses to use, it's where he chooses to put it. The rhythmic slot that it falls on is perfect. If it were just a 16th or 8th note earlier or later, it wouldn't hit as hard as it did. This kind of fine-tuning is what real intention in Fizz music looks like. You're not just trying to use cool scales and shapes. You have to pick the exact notes you want, drop them in the exact rhythmic slot you want them to go into, and know exactly why you want it there. Whether the chords you're shredding over are quite simple or totally insane, having intention will work every single time. Now that we know all these 4 skills, it's time to combine them. And that's how you shred over Fizz music. The goal isn't to play it safe or tone it down. Neither is it to play a million notes at Mach speed for no reason. The goal is to know exactly what you're doing at all times, while sounding like you've completely lost it. Get your shapes down, mean every rhythm, know where you are, and shred like you mean it. Fizz won't make it easy on you, but it doesn't want you to just survive over it. It wants you to obliterate it. Anyway, I'm done talking. Go touch grass, touch your instrument, try stuff, break stuff, but just make sure that whatever you play is exactly what you want to play, because that's what Fizz is all about.